Hi everyone, myself Dr. Lakshmi Prasad, working as an associate professor in the Department of Data Science in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. In this video, I am going to discuss about what should be the overview or an outline of SPSS software. So SPSS is nothing but a statistical observational statistical package for the social sciences, and is going to be used by the researchers to perform the statistical analysis. So as the name it suggests that, so the SPSS statistical software is used to perform only the statistical operations, so cleaning, coding, data entry in SPSS. So choosing the correct statistical test run should be considered for running that. So SPSS is nothing but a statistical package for the social sciences, and is mostly going to be used by the researchers to perform the statistical analysis. So as the name suggests that the statistical software is going to be used to perform only the statistical operations, cleaning, coding, data entry in SPSS, choosing that the statistical test run is to be run. So history. So when it comes to the history of this, so this software is going to be released in 1968 as the statistical package for the social sciences. So after it is going to be developed by Nye, Dale and Bent. So initially itself, this software is going to be used in 1968 and should be named it as the statistical package for the social sciences. So this one is going developed by Nye, Dale and then Bent. So statistical software is a package which is going to be used for interactive statistical analysis. So the long is going to be produced by SPSS, so which is going to be acquired by IBM in 2009, and the current versions are named it as IBM SPSS Statistics. So the software name originally called as the statistical package for the social sciences, and then reflecting the original market. So along the software is now becomes the most popular, which is going to be used mostly in health sciences and then marketing. So nowadays the statistical software is going to be used very vastly, and then it is going to be used mostly in health sciences and marketing purpose. So since it is going to be acquired by the IBM company in 2009 itself, and various versions of this also going to be used here. So now the 2018 version should be IBM SPSS Statistical, and now it is going to be used. And laterally it will be developed by IBM itself in 2009. And the software normally called as the statistical package, and then for the social sciences. And mostly it is going to be used in health issues and then marketing. So the use of SPSS in research. So the SPSS is going to be stands for the statistical package for the social sciences, and it is going to be used in an application that it can aid in quantitative data handling. So before SPSS, researchers has to run the statistical tests on the data sets by the hand. So however, this SPSS automates this process, and some of the functions it is going to be used in data management and then data analysis also. So like this we can able to use in many of the applications like this. So SPSS, the users in research. So this SPSS is going to be used for statistical package for the social sciences in application that it is going to be aid in quantitative data handling. And so this before this SPSS, the researchers has had to run the statistical tests on the data sets by hand. However, this SPSS automate this process, and then the data management and data analysis also. SPSS is a shortest statistical package for the social sciences, and is going to be used by the various kinds of researchers for complex data analysis. So mainly this one is going to be used for the statistical analysis So most of the top research agencies going to use this SPSS to analyze the survey data, mining the text data, so that it can get the most out of the research projects. Okay, so the SPSS is mostly the going to be used in statistical package, and mostly this one is going to be used for the complex statistical data analysis. And so most of the research agencies also going to be used to analyze the survey what they have conducted and mining the text data, so that can be most out of their for research projects. So statistical analysis, so it is the mostly wide used program for the statistical analysis in social science, and these statistics are going to be included in base software like descriptive statistics, and then cross tabulation, frequencies, descriptive explorer, and then descriptive ratio statistics. So these are the some of the statistics versions are going to be used in the software. Okay, so SPSS is mostly used for the programs of statistical analysis and social science, but some of the statistics include the base of the software like can able to perform descriptive statistics, and then cross tabulation also can also be performed, and then frequencies can also be done, descriptive statistics, explorer, and descriptive ratio statistics. So these are the some of the various softwares that is going to be used in statistics. So normally, what kind of tests also are going to perform here, like bivariate statistics, which means that we can able to use means, and then test t-test also can able to perform, and ANOVA and correlation, and bivariant and partial distances. So like this, we can able to do that. So and then the parametric test predictions for the numerical outcomes, linear regression, predictive for identifying the groups, and factor analysis. So like this, we can able to perform some of the tests also, like for the bivariant statistics, so we can able to perform the means and t-test, and then ANOVA correlation like this. And the parametric test prediction for the numerical outcomes like linear regression, and then prediction for identifying the groups and factor analysis. So these are the, some of the tests also can able to perform. So SPSS interface. So here you can able to see two types of views already said previously in earlier videos, like data view and then variable view. And this data view is going to be placed to enter the data, and the columns like variables, and rows like records, and variable view, that means the place we can able to enter the variables, and a list of variables, and the characteristics of all variables. Okay, so normally this SPSS interview is going to be have two types of views. So almost all this SPSS interface looks like an Excel form, so where two types of views are going to be arranged here. So one thing should be data view, and second one should be variable view. So data view means where I can able to enter the data, and can also use variable 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are will be treated as the variable names, and this one should be the rows. That means the data what I enter on that one, and this should be the view of the data. Okay, so the data view is the thing where I'm able to enter the data, and where the column should be variables and rows should be the records. So similarly, if I'm going to consider this variable view, so this is the place where I can able to enter the variables, and how what are the list of variables that are needed for any kind of application, so that can able to take it out here, and characteristics of all variables may also be seen here. So this is the view of that one. So where you can able to enter the data in SPSS version. And so this should be the just now what I said should be the columns for the variables, and this should be the uh, rows for the cases, and this is the point where we can able to view the data in SPSS 22 version of that. So before the data entry, so what I have to do with that? So we should need a code book or scoring guide. So before that, so before entering the data in the data view, so we need to develop the code book here and then scoring guide. So already on previous videos I um, explained what should be the code book, then how it is going to be designed, and what should the kind of variables that and all have to be considered. I covered in previous videos. So code book is also very important before entering the data in data view. And so we should give the ID number for each case, so not the real identification numbers of the subjects. So if you are going to use, you can able to use paper survey, and then you can also use the Excel to the data entry. Okay, so you can also make use of Excel, and then you can also import that data from the Excel to the SPSS. So example of code book. So how old you are, like this, like 12 years, 13, 14, 15, like this. So the code book is the thing where you can able to know the code of variables, and what are the things in the code book will be here is variable names and the values of each response option, and how to record the variables. So in the codebook itself, we can be able to identify what are the variable names that are available, and so what are the values that are needed for each response, and then how to recode the variables. So these three things can be available in the codebook. Okay, so like this we can able to define the codebook here. So once that one is done, then how we're going to enter this data variables in the variable view. So for that, we're going to have first thing should be click on this variable view. So once we click, then the window will be opened. So then type the variable name under the name column. So this is the variable name, right? So under this, what you have to do, you have to tap the variable names, and here you can able to select so what type of variable it is, like whether it may be a numeric, or it may be a string, or it may be some other alphanumeric, whatever it is. So what kind of type it is, that variable, so that and all we have to specify, and that one is thing, then we have to be define the description of that variable. So description also of that variable is also very important. Suppose simply I'm going to take v3, v4, v5. So what is this variable meant for what purpose is it going to be used? Similarly, for what purpose this variable is going to be used, I don't know if I'm going not maintaining that the description of the variable. So suppose if I'm going to take like employee, so instead of taking v1 for the employee, so simply I can write employee ID, employee name. So in the by taking the name of the variable, you can able to identify for the what purpose this one also should be maintained. So that should be the also very important here. So in order to do that, okay. So the steps what will have to be followed for the defining the variables in variable view is that, so first thing is that, so click on this the variable view, and then type the variable name under the column, like whatever it is there in that existing, and the type identify the type of that variable, whether it may be numeric or string, and then label, that is nothing but the description of the variables in the variable view. So see one by one. So first step is that click on this variable view. So once that one is done, then add name, specify the names, of that variables like ID, age, something. And third thing is that, so what type of variable it is. So once you click on that, from one pop-up window is going to be opened. So once that one is going to be opened, here you can able to specify what type of data variable it is, comma, dot, scientific notation, data, dollar, custom string, like this. So like this, once you identify, so you can able to specify the width and then decimal values also, and you can, so after clicking that OK, then you can able to set it. Suppose the ID I'm taking, for the ID it is of the type numeric, so I can able to specify the width of that and how many decimals I have to follow. So like this I can able to, along with the variable description of variables, you can able to know what should the values and what should be missing, right alignment, scale, everything I have to be find it out. So enter the variables based on the code book. Suppose I have a code book initially designed, so how I'm going to be incorporate that variable from the code book to the SPSS. So right, so incorporating from code book to SPSS. So these are the things you have to be done. So how to do that? So for that, what you have to do is, so first initially open the code book and click on this icon variables, and then enter the variable names and the label. And once that one is done, so after open the variable names, so that means I'm giving 3 and then label name 14. So check it out the spelling. If it is wrong, then you have to get it wrong option. So then click on the add. So like one way, so one should be 12 years and two should be 13 years, add. So click OK. So like this I can able to add the data from the codebook to the SPSS software by opening the pop-up windows. What is getting here? Okay, so after opening this codebook, so enter by clicking on this value labels. So one pop-up window will be opened. So for that pop-up window, just give some values like this and add on that, so that those two variables are going to be added here. So the same thing I can able to extract from the codebook to the SPSS software. So next, enter the cases from two variables and from the data set, like uh, what should be the code and then value. So the key one is should be the participant age and 12 years or young, and 2 should be 13 years and 3 should be 14 years. So like this I can able coded values I can able to assign instead of displaying the original data. So what I am going to use. So one is for 12 years or younger, and 2 is for 13 years, and 3 is for 14 years. Like this I can able to enter the cases. So after the saving the date, save this file with this as SPSS data. So once that thing is done, so clean the data after importing the data file. So for that, what I am going to do is, so the key values are what I am taking, that should be constant, and the labels for each variable also going to be constant. So run that frequency for each variable and check output to see if you are going to have the variables with the wrong values. Okay, so check whether any missing values, and then physical surveys is going to be done if I am going to use the paper surveys, or I can able to make you sure that they are really missing or not. So sometimes you need to be recode the string variables into numeric variables also. Okay, so the cleaning the data after importing data files, for that the key is the thing and values and the label for the each variables are going to take, and the run the frequency for each variable and check outputs whether any wrong entry is going to be done or not, and then any missing values is going to be find it out. And sometimes you also may record the string variables into some numerical variable also. So like this, we have to be find out the errors what I'm getting, the cleaning the data after importing the data files. So once that thing is done, like see here. So this is the data initially I filled. So one is for 12 years and two is for 13, three is 14, 4, 15 like this. So what happened after importing that? So this data I get it, but the values for 8 and 9 it is missing. So that means either it may be a missing thing or some the data is going to miss or wrong entry is going to be done here. So that thing we have to be identified before after importing the data. So missing data is also may lead to so many problems. So try to avoid this and try to find it out. Make the data should be clearly entered and then should be unique and then efficient thing. Everything have to be find it out. So once that missing values is identified, so how are we going to overcome that? So already showed the one video. So what are the various types of techniques that are available for that? I showed in previous videos about the missing coding techniques. So here also for finding the missing values, so define the missing values and values that are going to be excluded from the some analysis, like options like so up to 3 there should be discrete values missing option and the range of missing values plus one discrete missing value, right? So you can able to assign. See, I'm taking two identifiers, like two variables I took here, and then the missing value is going to appear here. So the numeric type and the age I'm giving ID and then age and value should be none. So the missing whatever it is there that is going to appear under this column. So if there is any missing here, that should be indication of this. So there should be some missing of that variable, so that you can able to clearly identify. And next one, columns and align. So for that, so the column sets the amount of space reversed to display the content of the variable in the data view, and generally the data value is going to be adequate. So alignment settings also important, whether the contents of the variable appear on the left, center, right on the cell in the data view, and the numerical variables or right hand justified by the default and string variables left justified by the default. So the defaults are going to be generally adequate. So the columns set the amount of required space reserved to display the contents of the variable in the data view. So while defining the data view itself, the space between the variables is also clearly specified, whether it should be properly displayed or not. Everything should be identified. The alignment settings also could be considered by the variable, whether it should be appear left or it may be appear middle or it may be appear right. So that alignment should also be considered. And numerical variables are right hand justified and should be generally adequate. So measures, next one. So what kind of measures we have to be considered for this? We also consider. So level, there are different types of measures of measurement. So like nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale. So in SPSS, these interval and ratio are going to be designated together as a scale, and the default for the string variable is nominal, and the default for numeric variables is also a scale. So the default value for numerical variable is scale, and default for the string variable should be normal. And for in SPSS, the interval ratio scale are going to be designed as scales. So these are the things also I covered in previous video about the various levels of measurement like nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale. Right? So everything that is going to be set it out, then we have to be save the file. For the saving the file, we have to be ensure whether it should be properly saving in particular format or not, and particular directory have to be clear, and then what should be the name of that file. So the saving also very important. So once once the file is going to be saved, so move that to the target directly. We are going to save it and then file name and then save. So in SPSS, some file formats are going to be known for saving that. And next one is variable transformation. So variable transformation means here we have to be convert from the data of one variable to the another variable. Okay, so how to do that? So for that, what we call it as recode variables. So first, initially select the transform recode into different variables. Suppose I'm going to choose the variable that I want to choose. It should be Q20. So Q20 is the thing where I can able to transform it. So for that, here we're going to have some arrow here. So click on the arrow to put the variable in the right window. So once to click that, so order the output variables and type the name of the new variable and the variable and then change it. Suppose, so this is the variable I want to change it out. So in some other convention like Q30 I want to change it out. So for that what I have to do, so I have to click on to that label and then click on order and new so that it will be changed out. So like this, what we are going to have, we can able to record the variables from, or can able to do the transformation also from one variable to variable also. So variable transformation. So here, what you have to do, you have to be compute the variable first. So example, so create the variable like drug use, and during the past 30 days, they can able to use cigarettes, alcohol, and marijuana is the defined as use or else not use. So there are two types of categories like coding, one use and two is not using of that. So from the survey it is going to be used that it should be Q30, Q1 and using that, and non thing is not should be 0, so we have to be do transform that from to the compute variable. So like that the variable transformation should also be done. So how this one is to be computing the variables. So type the variable name here and then choose this either 1 or 0. Type 0 for numeric and non-zero for the 0 means non-use and 1 for numeric. So click on this 0 or 1 and then click enter and then set it out. So once that one is set, then with the help of that arrow button what is there, so set it out Q30 is equal to 1 and Q41 equal to 1, Q47 equal to 1. So do the same thing, make use of and or here and then click on continue. So after this, so I can able to get some pop-up window. So which is going to be asked whether we are going to change the existing variable. So because the drug is already created when the first defined on is click OK. So this type of pop-up window, click it out and it should be go to the next pop-up window. So like this, what you have to do, you have to be compute the variables and convert the string variable into numeric variable. Okay, so enter one as at numeric expression and then click if the button and type 1 equal to female. So enter the 1 for here for the numeric expression and click on the variable, which variable you want to change it out. So click the button and type 1 then OK. So that enter the 2 for the numeric expression male or female and then click OK. So how to choose it out. So 1 is female and 2 is male. I want to change it out, right? So for that you have to be set it. Then once that thing is done, you can able to do the recording of that, and then next what you have to do is you have to be sort and select the cases. For this sort and select the cases, we're going to have the option, so where the variable should be of 4 different variables. I want to list the variables in ascending order like ABC format up to Z. So I can able to sort it option also available according to the cases itself. So for that, select the frequencies. So Q30, I'm going to select it out and click on the charts. So I want to show in the form of charts, means I can able to get what type of charts it is, like a bar chart, pie chart, and histogram. Otherwise, I can able to set the frequencies here also. So the frequencies for that I can able to use it as mean, median, mode, sum, and standard deviation, variable, range, min, max, standard deviation, mean, skewness, like this. Okay, so can able to select it out. So what kind of frequency statistics I have to apply. So whether I'm going to apply mean or median or mode, sum, like this I can able to set it out. And then we can also do that standard deviation I can use, or variance or min, max, everything like that. So the bar chart and pie charts are also what type of charts also going to be used. You can able to select it out. So from that we can able to extract the data. So I can able to get the frequencies like this from the previous window. So once that one is done, we can able to what type of graph I selected previously. I'm going to selected bar graph, right? So the output should be like this, and the curve also would be obtained here. So Qness is nothing but a measure of the asymmetric of distribution. So normally this distribution is symmetric and has a skewness value of 0. So normally you are going to have two types of skewness, like positive skewness and then negative skewness. So positive means it should be a long right tail, and then negative skewness means a long left tail. So if I'm going to have the long right tail, then it should be positive one. So if I'm going to have a long left tail, then it should be negative one. So example for the positive, it should be like this. Otherwise, this should be the negative skewness and this should be the positive skewness. Okay. The skewness is nothing but the measure of asymmetric of distribution, uh, where the normal distribution is symmetric and has the skewness value 0. So Curtius is the thing. So it should be a measure of the extent to which the observations cluster around the central point. So for the normal distribution, the value of Curtius statistic should be 0, and for elliptic data, the values are going to peak, whereas platicurate data should be flatter. This one. So these are the things we have to make two kinds of measures what can able to make in the graphs. So Curtius. So Curtius means it should be a measure uh, in which the observations cluster around the center point, and then Curtius statistic should be 0, and the product data is also going to be figured out. And this should be the normal distribution of the curves of different ways of representing. So here it should be, so for this curve this should be the mode, median, and this should be the mean. And if it is that, then the center of that line should be the mean, median, and mode. And for the negative direction it should be mode, median, and this should be the mean. So Curtius is the thing which should be able to provide the visual estimate of the variance in a sample form. So this should be how the different types of Curtius should be. This should be the normal one, so the black one. And leptocurate, it should be something curved like this. And placurate curve looks like this. Thank you. So these are the things we're able to cover in this video. So in this video, I'm going to discuss about what should be the SPSS and history of that one, and what should be the outline of that SPSS. So SPSS mainly a statistical package for the social sciences, and it is going to perform the statistical operations like cleaning, coding, and data entry in SPSS. So history means, so initially it should be developed in 1968 by Knight, Dale, and Bent, and which was acquired by IBM in 2009, and various versions. The current version is 2018, and which is going to be widely used many of the applications like health sciences and marketing. So the use of SPSS should also be how in data handling also. So we're able to use in data management and data analysis should be also part of the SPSS, and which is going to be used widely by the researchers in complex data analysis. So the SPSS have some of the basic software or operations like descriptive statistics, cross tabulation, descriptive explorer, and descriptive ratio statistics. So various types of tests also can able to perform on that one. Like if I'm going to take bivariate statistics, where you can able to perform mean, t-test, ANOVA, correlation, like this, factor analysis. So SPSS interface, so we're going to able to have two types of views like data view and variable view. So this should be the looking of data view where you can able to enter the variables as columns and the cases as rows. And before the data entry, we have to make sure that we have to be your proper ID numbers, and we can also use Excel to export the data. And so the code book, is the thing which you can able to have the variable names and variable name for each response and how to recode the variables. And so this should be the variable view where you can able to first see that it should be click on the variable view, type the variable name and what type of variable data type it is, whether it may be a numeric or string, and description of that variable. So these are the views of the data editor. So once that thing is done, you have to make sure that the data is properly cleaned or not. So once the data is cleaned, like you have to be check it out whether any wrong entry is coming, wrong outputs, and whether I'm going to get any missing values. So if I'm going to get the missing values, how I'm going to be avoid it. So the missing values can be clearly shown in SPSS software, but not be in Excel. And the columns and alignment should also be considered, which should be going to be fixed reserve is not possible since the content available is going to be changed, and alignments should be also considered. And various kinds of measurements also be considered like nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scale. And mostly file save the data. Then variable transformation can be done through the steps what I shown here previously. So for that we have to be first recode the variables. So which variable are going to be recoded, and then compute the variables, then perform the transformations by taking step by step of this, and you can also perform the sorting the cases, and you can obtain the how we're going to obtain the frequency table from the previous data. So from once the frequency is done, we can simply able to draw what kind of graph or what kind of curve also can able to perform it. And then for the nominal distribution, so how we're going to calculate, so different types of skewness also available, positive skewness, negative skewness. So if it is the positive skewness, then it should be this should be the mean, median, and this should be the mode. For this type of normal distribution, the mean, median, mode should be almost on the center of this line, and for the negative skewness, this should be the mean, median, and the mode. So similarly, the CATIOS is the underlying thing where can able to visual estimate of the variance in the sample. So this should be the black, what are indicating should be the normal one, and this should be the leptocurate, and this should be rectocurate. Okay, thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.